Well, Jennifer, as beautiful as ever, are you here for a business negotiation with your subordinate today? As we were walking down the hallway of our client's office, an elite manager named Alex approached us. Thank you for your support. That's right. It seems the only job he can do is carrying bags. Haha. My boss, to whom I replied, is named Jennifer. She's 3 years older and has been teaching me everything about the job since I joined the company. My name is Chris. After graduating from college, I joined a medical device manufacturing company and have been in sales for 2 years. Today, we came to negotiate with a client who is a wholesaler of medical devices, but we always seem to run into Alex. What a pathetic man. Whipped by a woman. You lack spirit, man. Come on. He said this as he passed by, patting me on the back. As I was caught off guard and choking, Jennifer said, "Hey, that kind of attitude is not acceptable." Jennifer approached Alex with a firm attitude. Pathetic. You're too lenient." He said this and walked away. "Chris, are you okay? That guy really ticks me official. I want to get back at him someday, but he seems pretty competent. Maybe that's why he acts that way, but it's still unacceptable." Jennifer said this, showing her concern for me. "I'm fine. I'll work hard to become competent and prove him wrong." I was serious about this. Thanks to Jennifer's smooth talking, our meeting went well, and we got the client's approval for the contract, all the way up to the manager's decision. We took the contract to Alex and explained it to him, but he tore it up, crumpled it, and said, "This is too expensive. I can't sign this." Cut it by 15% and then threw it in the trash. Stunned, we were about to leave when he said, "How long do you plan to stand there? Go back and figure out how to reduce it by 15% or I'll buy from someone else." Jennifer was clenching her fists in anger. "Let's go back, Jennifer. I'll prepare the documents." Saying this, we got up, apologized to Alex, and decided to leave. And as we were walking down the hallway, suddenly, "Anyone, call an ambulance, please." We looked at each other and ran towards the voice. Opening the door, we found Alex lying face down, seemingly unconscious. "Jennifer, please call an ambulance. I'll administer first aid." As I said this, Jennifer tried to call 911 but was too flustered to dial correctly. "What should I do, Chris? I can't press the buttons properly." With a trembling voice, she said, and I replied, "I'll count for you. Just calm down. 911. She managed to dial 911 following my instructions. Meanwhile, I called out to Alex, but there was no response. I checked his wrist for a pulse but couldn't feel any. Turning Alex onto his back, I checked for breathing, but he wasn't breathing. I started CPR and rescue breathing, but Alex still didn't revive, so I shouted, "Someone, bring a defibrillator." A stunned employee snapped out of it and went to get the defibrillator. Another employee brought it quickly and handed it to me. I prepared it and said, "I'm using the defibrillator. Please step back." When I used it, Alex's body jerked. I put my ear to his chest to check if his heart had started, and I could hear it beating. Jennifer, now a bit calmer, was informing the fire department of the client's company name and address. "What should we do about Alex's condition?" they're asking. Hearing this, I took the phone and explained Alex's situation. Jennifer seemed surprised by my quick response to the patient. After confirming that Alex's pulse had stabilized, I said, "For now, he seems to be okay. If you know whether Alex has any chronic conditions or regularly takes any medication, please let us know." When I asked his subordinate, they said Alex was on medication for high blood pressure. Seeing how I handled the situation with ease, Jennifer approached me and asked, "Who are you? You seem experienced with life-saving and using a defibrillator." Before she could finish, the paramedics arrived, so I decided to explain the situation to them and left. Jennifer seemed upset that I didn't answer her question and was distant in the car on the way back, not responding to any of my attempts to start a conversation. Having no choice, I decided to share my story with Jennifer. Jennifer, can I tell you about myself? Actually, I graduated from medical school before joining our company. My family has a long line of doctors, and my father runs his own practice in our hometown. He's an orthopedic surgeon, and my mother is a dermatologist. My brother and sister are also doctors, working in a university hospital. Really? Does such a family actually exist? I wish it didn't. I topped my class in medical school but failed the medical licensing exam. I took the surgical exam but failed. My father was furious, calling me a disgrace and saying I had brought shame to the family. My mother tried to defend me, but it got too uncomfortable at home, so I left. I gave up on becoming a doctor. I never really wanted to be one anyway. That's quite a story, but if you wanted to avoid medicine entirely, why choose to work at our company, a medical device manufacturer? I was cornered by her question and struggled to respond, but she followed up, saying, if you still want to be a doctor, why not give it another shot? You don't have to practice medicine just because you have a license. You could get your license and still work here. She said this to reassure me. Jennifer, you're kind. Thank you, but it's not so easy to pass the medical exam while working. I've accepted this as my fate. I tried to sound calm, but what Jennifer said stuck with me, and I started to consider retaking the medical exam. Back at the company, everyone already knew about Alex's collapse and that I had resuscitated him. I heard that the president of the client company had called to thank me occasionally. I was informed that Alex needed a detailed examination but was currently stable. I lied to my colleagues, saying I knew how to use a defibrillator because my family were doctors, and asked Jennifer to keep my medical school background a secret. I got careless, and someone from HR ended up revealing my educational background, so it eventually got out. Some colleagues curiously asked me why I joined this company, but I couldn't bring myself to tell them what I had told Jennifer, so I just laughed it off. For a while, I became a topic of conversation at work, but after a month, nobody mentioned it anymore. Just when I thought I could finally concentrate on my work, I received a call from the client company. Surprisingly, it was Alex. Hello, is this Chris? Thank you for saving my life the other day. Thanks to your quick decision, I can come back to work safely. I'd like to visit you soon to express my gratitude in person. When would be a good time? Startled, I said, oh, you don't need to do that. Let me check with my supervisor. I need to speak with you, not your supervisor. Is there a problem with me visiting? No, not at all. Please hold for a moment. I put the phone on hold and told my manager, Mike, that Alex wanted to visit to thank me. Really? That's great. Let's take him on a factory tour and show our products. Chris, make sure to guide him when he visits. He said this, putting more pressure on me. Resigned, I picked up the phone again and said, thank you for waiting. We look forward to welcoming you to our office. Please let us know a date and time that works for you. Thank you. I wouldn't want to intrude suddenly, so how about in a week? I'm looking forward to meeting you. He said and ended the call. I sighed deeply and went to Mike for instructions on the visit. I'm leaving it up to you. You're Alex's lifesaver, so even if there are minor mistakes, he'll probably overlook them. Just memorize our product catalog. That should be easy for a med school grad. He ended with a sarcastic remark, so I decided not to say anything more to him. From then on, I spent my days preparing explanatory materials and learning about our products and catalogs at the showroom. As I familiarized myself with our products, I noticed differences from the medical instruments I used in med school. Understanding both the good and bad aspects, I suggested improvements to the product development team, and they said, thank you for the great suggestions. Could you also look at our other products? Your opinion is valuable since we don't get much feedback from doctors. If you have any cost-saving ideas, let us know. I never expected Alex's visit to lead to all this, but I found it interesting and continued to propose improvements to the development team. After finishing the materials for the product presentation and preparing the tour route, ensuring everything was in order for the day, it finally arrived. On the day, President Johnson and the executives were waiting at the company entrance for Alex's visit. As I met each executive, they said, "Chris, we're counting on you today. Make sure to promote our products well." Feeling the pressure, I saw the car carrying Alex pull up to the entrance. The driver opened the rear door, and Alex, using a cane, stepped out. "Thank you all for welcoming me. Is Chris here? He saved my life, allowing me to return to work safely. I have some after effects, but thank you very much." He said this. As President Johnson and the executives introduced themselves one by one, I thought standing for a long time might be hard for Alex, so I said, "Alex, it's been a while. Please, let me take you to the reception room." "Chris, you're thoughtful. Thank you." Alex smiled and gently patted my back, encouraging me to head with him to the reception room. Leading the way, Alex and I walked ahead while President Johnson and the executives followed. Then, Alex whispered with a laugh, "Don't your company's big shots know how to host guests?" Hearing that, I couldn't help but burst out laughing, and simply replied, "I apologize." Since Alex was using a cane, I thought it would be best to cancel the factory tour and conveyed this to President Johnson, who agreed. In the reception room, a cheerful Alex, almost unrecognizable from before, apologized in front of President Johnson for tearing up the contract on the day he collapsed. I was feeling extremely unwell and irritable that day, and I acted inappropriately. I apologize for my behavior. However, as much as I respect a company that employs my lifesaver, I cannot approve the contract at that price due to my position. I cannot mix personal matters with business. Please, let's work towards a mutually agreeable contract," he said. I explained to Alex that I had conveyed the improvement ideas I thought of while preparing the product presentation to the development team, and that cost reductions were expected. "Then, let's have a presentation when the product is ready," Alex said before leaving. As his car disappeared from view, President Johnson, the executives, and I all let out sighs of relief. After explaining my discussion with the development team to President Johnson, I was granted the afternoon off as a reward. Back at my apartment, I couldn't stop thinking about Alex using a cane. I felt responsible, wondering if my first aid had caused his condition. Unable to ask Alex directly, I spent the day restless. The next morning, still preoccupied, I decided to research potential after effects based on Alex's symptoms and medication. Immersed in medical books, I rediscovered the passion I had when I aimed to be a doctor. Though I thought I didn't want to be a doctor, I realized my true feelings at that moment. The desire to save lives as a doctor grew stronger, and even during work, I thought about it until Jennifer invited me to dinner. "You did a great job handling Alex's visit. Let's have a small celebration. How about going out for drinks this Friday night?" she suggested. I was relieved to realize that my concerns hadn't been as obvious as I thought. Come to think of it, it's been a while since I went out for drinks with Jennifer. I remember getting scolded a lot about work in the past. This time, it seems there won't be any reprimanding, so it looks like I'll finally enjoy some good drinks. With that thought, I looked forward to Friday. Finally, Friday came, and after work, I headed to the bar where Jennifer was already waiting. "Oops, sorry, did I keep you waiting?" As I hurriedly took my seat, Jennifer said, "I arrived just about 5 minutes ago, so I haven't been waiting. I'm quite thirsty. Shall we order some drinks first?" We ordered beers and talked about the day Alex collapsed. That time was really shocking. I was so angry at how Alex was treating you before he collapsed. I wanted to knock some sense into him. And then he just fell over. It made me feel somewhat responsible. It's strange. In such moments, even calling an ambulance properly seems impossible. I felt so helpless. Jennifer looked a bit downcast as she said this. "It's unnerving, isn't it? Despite his age, Alex maintained his physique and seemed to take good care of his health. It didn't appear like he had any chronic illnesses. To be honest, I've always found Alex a bit difficult, but during his last visit, he was surprisingly cheerful. Seeing him walk with a cane made me feel sorry for him. I've been wondering if my emergency treatment caused his condition. As I shared my concerns, Jennifer encouraged me. "What are you talking about? To be able to do what you did in that situation is incredible. Just because you graduated from medical school doesn't mean you're a doctor, so you don't need to feel that responsible. You did really well despite how badly he treated you." Jennifer continued, "Hey, Chris, this might be none of my business, but have you thought about pursuing a career as a doctor again? Becoming a doctor is a calling. Not everyone can save lives like you did. Forget about what your parents think. It's irrelevant." As Jennifer looked at me earnestly, I decided to be honest about my feelings. "Actually, I've been researching why Alex started using a cane. I'm worried that my first aid was inadequate. While researching, I realized that I do want to become a doctor. I'm just wondering if my curiosity about Alex's cane is the only reason." After listening to my story, Jennifer grinned and said, "I knew it," with a knowing smile. "Recently, you've been deep in thought a lot and sighing heavily. I was wondering what was going on. And it turns out you were worrying about all this, huh?" She said this with a chuckle. "Was it that obvious? I tried to act normal around you. Was this invitation a day specifically for this reason?" Jennifer laughed. "Spot on. I knew something was bothering you. You're quite transparent, you know. I even saw you researching medical conditions on your computer during lunch. Is there a reason you're hesitating?" I explained, "When I was a student, I had time to prepare for the medical exams, but now, working full-time, I have less time to study. I haven't saved enough to take a year off for study, and I don't want to quit a job I like." Jennifer responded, "It's fine if you won't regret it in a few years, but you can't live in doubt forever. If you fail again, then you can give up for good. So why not try and cut through the uncertainty? Now might be an easier time to pass." I knew Jennifer was right, but studying while working seemed daunting. When I explained this to Jennifer, she offered, "If you're serious about becoming a doctor, why don't you come live with me? I'm at work on weekdays. I can cook dinner, and I have enough savings to support you for about a year. I can lend you money, too. Living alone, you'd have to cook, which is a waste of precious time. If you work hard, even if you don't succeed, you'll be able to move on without regrets." I was stunned by her unexpected offer and didn't know what to say. But her sincere concern for me was heartwarming. "Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate your serious consideration of my situation. I'll think about it over the weekend. Of course, I'm leaning towards taking the exam. I need to assess my current knowledge, figure out how to make time for study, and consider how to balance it with work." Smart people do that, don't they? Think carefully and decide. I'm not that smart, so I just go for it. Instead of wasting time overthinking, why not dedicate that time to studying? If there's a will, there's a way. Her words resonated with me, and she added, "I don't like talking about it, but I've given up on many things in life. That's what I don't want others to give up. Chris, you still have a chance. If you want to do it, you should. If you give it your all and it doesn't work out, then you can let go. It seems like a part of you still believes you can do it." Encouraged by Jennifer's support, I resolved, I'll try. I'll study while working for a month, and if it doesn't work, I'll look for other ways. I might inconvenience you at work, but I have to do this. Interrupting me midway through my explanation, Jennifer jokingly said, "You're always like that, aren't you? What's new about it? I'll support you in your work and meals, so start preparing for the medical exam. First things first, I'm going to your apartment now. I need to know where it is to bring you dinner." Again, she surprised me with something unexpected. "No, that's all right for dinner. There's a convenience store and a diner nearby. If you want, you can bring dinner to the office." I try my best to politely decline her offer to come to my apartment. Is it such a hassle to have me come over? I'm quite good at cooking and doing household chores, you know. But if it's going to be a distraction from your studies, then I won't come. Just know that if you're serious about this, I'm willing to help that much. Knowing there's someone to support you can be a big motivation. Seeing Jennifer looking a bit sad, as if disappointed that I wasn't relying on her, I quickly reassured her, "Please, don't be down. I'm just really surprised and grateful to meet someone who thinks so deeply about helping me. It's truly a blessing to have someone like you encouraging me." There's a limit to how much one can push themselves alone. But knowing that you care so much makes me want to work even harder. I will definitely turn to you when I need help. Jennifer, I can thank you enough. That's what I told Jennifer, expressing my sincere appreciation. Can I have your apartment address then? Jennifer asked, holding out a notebook and pen. After writing my address in Jennifer's notebook, she remarked, "Oh, you live quite close to me. It's surprising that we've never crossed paths during commute hours." Learning where Jennifer lived, I realized it was only about a 15-minute bike ride from my place. I live near a bus stop and usually commute by bus, I explained. You would take the train from your place, right? Maybe that's why our paths never crossed, but there's a supermarket located halfway between our places, so we might have bumped into each other while shopping. Pointing out the supermarket on her phone's map, she said, I go there often for groceries since I cook myself. The freshness and prices are unbeatable. I go there for the 30% off deli items. After chatting about local spots, we decided to head home. Since we were going in the same direction, we shared a taxi, and Jennifer got off first at her place. In the taxi, Jennifer reminded me to start studying from the next day. When I returned to my apartment, I started tidying up to create an environment conducive to studying and rearranged the room's layout. After preparing for bed, I planned to start studying as soon as I woke up the next day. With these thoughts in mind, I drifted off to sleep. I was awakened by the doorbell in the morning. Rubbing my sleepy eyes, I checked the time. It was just past 9 a.m. Thinking it might be the neighbor's doorbell, it rang again. I hurried to the door and opened it to find Jennifer standing there with a packed lunch. Inviting her in, she teased, "Were you still sleeping? Got motivation, Chris? Oh, your place is nicely tidied up. I cleaned up and rearranged last night to prepare for studying. Would you like some coffee? I can make tea too." "No need, I'll do it. I've brought breakfast too, so let's eat together. They say a good breakfast improves brain function, but you probably know that better." As Jennifer boiled water, she opened the meal box. The beautifully arranged meal inside was a clear indication of her culinary skills, just as she had mentioned. After we finished our breakfast together, Jennifer began to clean up the dishes used for the meal. I expressed my gratitude to Jennifer and informed her that I was going to start studying. Jennifer then said, "I don't want to disturb you, so I'll leave soon. I'll come back for the lunchbox later." "If you don't have any plans for the rest of the day, Jennifer, you're welcome to stay here. I can't offer much in terms of hospitality though." Responding to my offer, Jennifer happily said, "Really? That's great. It's too hot to go back and forth outside. I'll just sit quietly and read a book. Do you have any that I could read?" I recommended a book and handed it to her. Surprised, she said, "Oh, I was about to buy this book. I like this author. Do you have any more books by them?" "Yes, I have more. I've been a fan since the author debuted. Feel free to choose any from here," I said, pointing to my bookshelf, before sitting down at my desk to study. Jennifer sat on the sofa reading, but soon she seemed to have fallen asleep. I guessed she must have woken up early to prepare the lunch, and I continued studying, grateful for her support. As lunchtime passed and I started feeling hungry, Jennifer suddenly woke up. "Oh no, I fell asleep. It's past lunchtime. I'll get everything ready. Just wait a moment," she said, starting to prepare lunch. "I really appreciate you making lunch so early. I was able to concentrate on my studies because of your help. Thank you." "Don't mention it. Take a break. It will be ready soon," she replied, finishing up the lunch preparation, and we ate together. "Are you okay with staying here for the afternoon as well?" In response to her question, I said, "I'm completely fine with it. How about we go to my favorite diner for dinner?" This was the first time I had ever invited Jennifer out for a meal. "Yes, I was actually curious about it. Let's go, but I'll leave the timing to you. Keep up the good work until then." I managed to focus on my studies throughout the afternoon, and at 3 p.m., Jennifer prepared coffee and sweets. allowing for a well-timed break that helped maintain my concentration and efficiency. I remembered how, during my student days, I used to push myself hard and study desperately, but often found that the information didn't stick, leaving me feeling anxious. Feeling more optimistic with my current approach, I thought I could manage it this time. However, knowing I had just started, I resolved not to let my guard down. For dinner, we went to my favorite diner. While eating, I expressed my gratitude to Jennifer. "Thank you for everything today. Thanks to you, I was able to study efficiently. It feels like I'm making more progress than during my student years." "Oh, I'm glad. I just ended up sleeping when I came over. Sorry about that. I won't come tomorrow to avoid disturbing you, so you can focus on your studies." Feeling grateful for her support, I said, "Your visit today was actually quite pleasant, and we discovered we have similar tastes in books. I didn't feel uncomfortable even in silence. If you're okay with it, please feel free to visit anytime. Cooking meals might be a hassle for you, so you can cook at my place if you like. I'll even cover the food expenses." "Are you asking me out?" Startled by her comment, I quickly responded, "No, that's not what I meant." "Well, maybe, but now's not the time to think about that." I felt flustered by her playful remark. Jennifer laughed it off. "Don't worry about it. If it's not a bother, that's fine with me." She answered with a light-hearted tone, acknowledging my flustered response. After that conversation, we parted ways at the diner, and I watched her leave before heading back to my apartment. I studied until I fell asleep, and before I knew it, the night had turned to morning. Although Jennifer didn't come over on Sunday, during the weekdays, she supported me by bringing packed lunches. I couldn't study during the day due to work, but Jennifer took over all my overtime, allowing me to focus on studying when I got home. This routine continued for 2 months, and I began to adapt to this new rhythm, feeling my studies progress. Trying some past exam papers, I scored close to the passing mark. I consistently achieved stable scores even on other past exam questions. Although these scores didn't match my student days, I felt a sense of joy and accomplishment. The fact that I could achieve steady scores in a different environment from the relentless struggle of my student years was a significant achievement. I shared this progress and my happiness with Jennifer. "I'm doing better now than in my student days, though the scores are a bit lower, but I think I can make it through the medical exam in another half year," I told her. Jennifer responded, "That's great to hear. If I'm helping, then that's good." I reminisced about the first time you brought lunch to my apartment and how you fell asleep from exhaustion. When I feel overwhelmed by studying, I remember her sleeping, and it motivates me. It's good to have someone to work hard for. That's what I conveyed to her. From then on, she came over once a week to cook and support me. Whenever I felt like giving up, recalling her dedication helped me push through. 2 weeks before the exam, I decided to use all my remaining leave for the final push. By then, my intention to take the medical exam had become known at work, and even my boss, Mike, was understanding. Though Jennifer didn't take leave, she supported me by cooking dinner on weekdays and staying over on weekend. Finally, I passed the medical exam. Without hesitation, I called Jennifer to share the news. She was tearful on the phone, so after expressing my gratitude, I invited her out for dinner. The next day, the product development team informed us that the improved product was ready. Jennifer and I prepared the materials and set off to present them to Alex. When we visited the client, we were led directly to Alex. Together with Jennifer, I explained the product improvements and the cost reductions, asking for feedback. The person in charge agreed to the contract, and Alex also approved it, allowing us to finalize the deal. "Please convey my appreciation for the hard work and development," said Alex. "Maybe it's because of Chris's advice. I noticed he seems different since the last time we met, more confident. Did something happen?" Jennifer and I exchanged glances, and she encouraged me. "Chris, why don't you tell him?" I decided to share the story from when Alex collapsed. I talked about my decision to pursue medicine again, my successful medical exam, and how Jennifer had been a dedicated supporter throughout the journey. Hearing this, Alex said, "I see. I didn't mean to cause you worry. The cane was due to a back injury, unrelated to that incident. The emergency crew told me your first aid was perfect. Without you, I might not be alive. You should be confident in yourself." I felt a weight lift off my shoulders upon hearing this. "You two looked like a perfect couple from the start. Finally got together, huh?" Alex teased us. "So, what's your plan for the future? Are you going to leave the company and become a doctor?" Faced with this question, I decided to discuss my future plans, even though I hadn't yet spoken to Jennifer about them. "I've decided to become a doctor. I have the desire to help sick people, and it's also a way to repay Jennifer for her support." Jennifer nodded in agreement. "That's good to hear. Jennifer will miss you at the company though." Jennifer quickly replied, "Mind your own business. It's his life, and I support whatever he decides. Chris, become a great doctor and fix Alex's attitude." Suddenly, the staff member standing next to Alex burst into laughter. Caught up in the moment, we all joined in, sharing a lighthearted laugh together. After receiving the contract, we left the client's office to head back to our company. In the car, I spoke with Jennifer. "I'm sorry I decided to become a doctor without telling you first. I had planned to discuss it with you sooner." "It's okay. It's your decision, and as long as you don't regret it, that's all that matters to me." "Thank you, but there's one more thing I need to say, or I might regret it. Would you consider dating with me? With the marriage and spending our lives together in mind." Jennifer seemed utterly surprised, probably not having anticipated this at all. Jennifer, clearly surprised, eventually said, "Yes, I will. Guess I should start planning my resignation. Wonder who will do the sales if we both leave." 3 years have passed since we got married, and my wife is still working hard in sales. Every day, I face my patients with gratitude, remembering how Alex's collapse became the catalyst for where I am now.